Evening, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here. I will call the meeting to order at 5:43 p.m. If you will all rise for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico and is a symbol of perfect friendships among the united cultures. All right, Mrs. Turley, roll call, please, ma'am.
Mr. Clausen?
Yes.
Mr. Jaramillo?
Here.
Mrs. Salazar? Here. Mrs. Lee?
Present. We do indeed have a quorum. Before we get to the adoption of the agenda, I would like to let everybody know you can see our superintendent, Mr. Widener, is online with us this evening. He is representing the district at the SOAR program, and that's a program that the PED and Miss Griego, Miss Jones, correct me if I'm wrong, we as a district are participating in the SOAR program.
It's one of the Priority School Bureau initiatives for superintendents and their teams.
Perfect. And so he's joining us online. He didn't want to not be here, but obviously other obligations. I would like to acknowledge the great turnout that we have in our audience this evening. Thank you all for joining us tonight. This is a very important night, and we are glad that you are here in support of the District 5 candidates. Thank you all very much. First off on our agenda, we have adoption of the agenda. Board members, are there any changes to the agenda, and if so, what? All right, Superintendent Widener, sir.
Madam President, board members, it is great to see you all. I recommend that we approve the agenda for tonight's meeting.
Thank you very much, sir. Board members, is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I motion to approve the agenda.
Thank you. I was going to just ask if there was a second, and you beat me to it, ma'am. Thank you. It has been moved by Mr. Clausen and seconded by Ms. Salazar to approve the agenda as presented. Anything to discuss, board members?
No discussion.
All right. Hearing none, we shall proceed to a roll call vote. Mrs. Turley?
Mr. Clausen?
Yes.
Mr. Jaramillo?
Yes.
Ms. Salazar? Miss Lee?
Aye. We will now get to the good stuff. Our first item on the agenda is our open session, and we will be doing the interview selection and possible appointment of a board member to fill the vacant District 5 board seat, which Dr. Archambault let us know earlier this year he was resigning from his seat. Hence, we are here today. And this meeting has been properly noticed, and all discussion, deliberation, and any final action related to this appointment will occur in open session in compliance with the New Mexico Open Meetings Act. The purpose of tonight's process is to allow the board, acting as a public body, to interview qualified candidates, deliberate in public, and determine whether we as a board are prepared to make the appointment this evening. I will let the audience and the candidates know, the board and the district have had ample time to review each candidate's application and all of their supporting documents. And each candidate here tonight has been verified as an eligible candidate to hold the District 5 board position if they are appointed this evening. We will move to interviews. We randomly selected the order earlier, pulled out of a hat kind of thing. Miss Larissa Garcia will be going first. Miss Tanya Lewis will be going second. And we will have our third candidate when she's able to be here, and that is Miss Donalyn Lorenzo. Now I will give you all and the candidates basically an overview of the interview process. Again, making sure that we are Open Meetings Act compliant and making sure that everything is handled in open session. The board will conduct interviews with the candidates in, as I just stated, a previously random determined order. Each interview will last approximately 25 to 30 minutes. Each candidate will be asked the same set of questions, and board members will rotate reading questions to ensure fairness and consistency. The interviews will take place in open session. To preserve the integrity of the process, candidates who are not being interviewed will be asked to wait outside the room. When it is your turn, we'll send someone, very likely Mrs. Turley. She's going to get her steps in. When it is your turn, we'll send somebody to get you from that room. But during the interim, we hope you will be comfortable and enjoy the refreshments that we have provided. Again, I want to sincerely thank each of you for your willingness to serve. Your participation tonight reflects a strong commitment to our students and community, and we truly appreciate your time and your preparation. Regardless of the final outcome, you have shown your dedication to your community and students in the school district, and that you care about them and are willing to help us make a difference. Thank you very much for that. We will begin the interview process shortly now. The first candidate previously selected and listed on the agenda is Miss Larissa Garcia. Mrs. Turley will very shortly here show the remaining candidates to the waiting area. Board members, in your packets, you will find candidate interview question forms. At the top of each form is the candidate's name. There is ample space to take notes, and I would encourage you to do so, board members. The board members will alternate asking the questions. Candidates, you may take a moment before answering if you need that time. Briefly, if need be, and only if need be, there may be a follow-up to a question if a board member needs clarification with your answer. Board members, again, I'm going to suggest that you take notes during the process, and I will let the public know and the candidates know no discussion amongst the board will occur during interviews. That's to keep everything fair and transparent. We appreciate thoughtful and concise responses as we are going to be mindful of time for the other candidates and the audience as well. So, that being said, our first candidate, Miss Larissa Garcia, we will begin with you. Miss Tanya Lewis, if you would like, Mrs. Turley will show you to the waiting room. Please be comfortable and we will come and get you as soon as we're done.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, again, board members, no discussion or decisions that occurred during the actual interview. Ms. Garcia, is there anything that you need at this time before we get started to make you comfortable?
No, thank you.
Okay, very good. Audience, we are going to begin our interviews now. I'm going to take a moment just to introduce the board to you. I know I had a moment to introduce myself. I'm Francie Lee. I'm the board president. This is Walter Jaramillo. He's our vice president. This is Courtney Clausen. He's our secretary. We then have Monica Salazar, board member. Sitting next to you is our deputy superintendent, Miss Jackie Jones. And then our administrative excellence is we've got Miss Chanda Turley, and she does everything for us. If you would like, would you please introduce yourself to us, please?
Quasi gaitawa hapachayashak. Doshino mekwiti aita erst yago guchinishano ako mersata. My name is Larissa Garcia. I am from Acoma Pueblo. I am reside in the village of McCarty's, and I'm just really excited and honored to be here with you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Welcome. We are so happy that you're here with us. I'm going to be the first one to ask the question this evening, and again, take your time. Why are you interested in serving as a Grant Cibola County School Board member? What qualifications or experiences would you bring to the board? And what do you see as the most important responsibility in representing your District 5 constituents?
Well, the reason why I'm interested in serving on the board is really to ensure that all of the students in my district are represented, and that they have a voice that can share concerns, ideas, recommendations, that there's a transparent working responsibility between the school district and the communities that I represent. I'm also interested in ensuring that there is accountability, not just of the school board, but of our principals, our school administrators, ensuring that we are working closely with the community representatives that we represent. I want to ensure that there is a trust responsibility built within the communities that we represent, giving children, students, families, and community members an opportunity to have a representative that they can trust, that they can go to with their concerns, and that they are willing to work with to ensure that our students are successful. Qualifications. Probably the most beneficial qualification I bring is that I'm a past president of the Acoma Board of Education. And in that responsibility, in that role, the responsibility was to represent the Pueblo of Acoma on all education matters. And so that did include attendance at Grant Cibola County School Board meetings. That also included representing the Pueblo at local, regional, state, and national level on issues regarding education and the needs of our community students wherever they went to school. But in particular was then having a better familiarity of the services that GCCS provides for our students, including things like JOM and the such, and having a better understanding of what those working responsibilities are, and how the district as a board oversees those, ensuring that accountability happens and that those services are provided to our students. And so in my time as the board president, it also gave me an opportunity to advocate on behalf of the students in my Pueblo. And that advocacy was speaking here on behalf of the Pueblo in front of this board, but also to be able to speak at the state level with state representatives, and then moving forward to national representation, advocating on the Hill in Washington, DC on behalf of the education of our students. And so I'm familiar with doing that. Believe that I have public speaking skills that are pretty above par, not afraid to address issues. but also wanting to be very transparent in the way that the accountability process happens. So also in my role as the president of the board, I was accountable to the tribal government and to the tribal council in making presentations to them, typically not performing well in reading, math, science, those kinds of things. What ways we could counter that by asking for better programming, more programming, extended programming opportunities for our students. And so all of that work that was done was always with the keeping in mind that working relationships are really what help our students be successful, ensuring that we're all on the same page of what it is that our students need and what their families need. Because I think that the lack of parental involvement that continues to grow really needs to be gapped. And I think one of the ways that we can do that is ensuring that our students know that they have representation and that their families know they have representation on the board, thereby giving them a sense of comfort, right? A better support system, if you will, to know that there is somebody who's advocating on their behalf. So all of that work has allowed me to have a better understanding of how we work as a community with GCCS. More broadly, my background is in education. So having a master's in education has really afforded me an opportunity to work in higher education, thereby having a better understanding of how our students matriculate from high school to college and often career paths, trade schools. So being able to understand that is also able to help me understand that our high school students' needs are being met and that they're prepared for the transition to whatever college or career path they have for themselves. And again, the accountability comes in ensuring that we're making sure that our academic counselors are working with our students and families with real time, real life ideologies of what it means to start a job, what it means to go to college, and what does all of those processes look like in doing so. And so being able to work in higher ed has also given me a better network, a better understanding of what it means to have working relationships from pre-K all the way through higher ed, and kind of what do those complexities look like when we're all trying to make sure that our students are successful. So in higher education, it really is just a better understanding of making sure that our students are prepared. Responsibility, can you rephrase that again, or question?
I will read the whole question
Okay.
for you if you would like.
It's just the last part about
Okay,
responsibility.
absolutely, of course. What do you see as the most important responsibility in representing District 5 constituents?
I think the most important responsibility is accountability. I want to make sure that my constituents understand that that I would be in a position to represent them, advocate on their behalf of them and their children, and making sure that they understand that the commitment to transparency and sharing information broadly, because sometimes I feel like there might be some gatekeeping happening in certain situations, and I know that some of my constituents feel that way. And so I want to be able to be a place of trust so that the accountability factors into the reasons why they would want me to represent them.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to Mr. Clausen at this time.
What do you believe is the most pressing challenge currently facing Grant Cibola County schools, and what role should the school board play in addressing it?
Are you asking for one challenge? Or is
The
it
most pressing challenge.
the most pressing? Wow, trying to narrow it down to one. All right. Give me a moment, because that's,
Take your time.
yeah, I'm just trying to, because they're all important to me, right? I see them as there are a lot of important issues, right? And challenges that our students face. So I think one of the biggest challenges right now is that our students aren't performing to grade level. The proficiency in math and reading and sciences are below average. And just because of the education field that I'm familiar with, research shows that it is typically our Native American students that have those poor performing numbers and scores. And so I think that because our county has such a high minority population, that this is an issue that affects all of us. And it affects, it's a ripple effect. And so I think that starts from having our children prepared in elementary school so that by the time they are getting to middle school and high school, where we're testing them, right, more aggressively on those proficiencies, that we want to be able to make sure that they're prepared for that. And I think that because it's a challenge that is faced by all of our students in the district, having researched a little bit about it, that having more focused programming in the areas of especially math and reading, because I see the end result of that when students are ill prepared coming to college and having to take remedial courses, which then accounts for more time and more money, right, just to try to catch up. That the role of the board is to ensure then accountability from our principals, from our superintendent, from our instructional staff, ensuring that the programming that is made available to our students is such that it allows for them to work through the challenges of deficiencies, but ensuring that we are finding ways to increase those proficiency numbers. And so I think that if the board is able to ensure the accountability of those who are working directly with our students, more specifically our school administrators, then it makes it easier for our constituents to have a better understanding of the need for the programming and the reason behind the choices of programming and curriculum that the board chooses. Because I think that's also really significant in the ways that we combat some of these issues is the curriculum and textbook choices that we make for our students, and whether or not that's going to allow for programming that will increase the deficiencies and that will help our students be more successful where they are deficient. Thank you.
Thank you. My turn again.
Okay.
How do you ensure that you stay in a governance role rather than an operational role? Please include how you would approach dealing with community concerns and issues raised about specific schools and student experiences while maintaining confidentiality. And I'll be happy to read that again if you would
Okay,
like.
yeah, that's a loaded
It's a big one. It is, there's no doubt.
This maybe
Of course. So the first portion is, how do you ensure that you stay in a governance role
Okay.
rather than an operational one?
Okay.
And please include how you would approach dealing with community concerns and issues raised about specific schools and student experiences while maintaining confidentiality.
Okay.
I know that was a.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Okay, so ensure I'm staying in a governance role versus an operational role. That really is a fine line, to be very honest. But I think that because I have had opportunity to serve in a capacity that was of governance for my community, for Acoma more specifically, in my role with the Board of Education, that it helps you to understand that there are the governance people, and then there are the boots on the ground, right? And so being very clear that we understand as board members that our role is to ensure the accountability, but also to support the boots on the ground. So ensuring that our superintendent and our school administrators understand that the board is there in support of the day-to-day activities that happen in those schools. But understanding that, because I'm a mom, I'm a grandma, I've had kids, graduate from high school, I've got grandkids in high school now and in elementary school, and understanding that as community people, we, and I say we because I've done this before, that we often feel like we can just go straight to the top, right? And so instead of following like a chain of command, so instead of being the mom that like, let me talk to the reading teacher, it's like, no, I'm gonna go talk to the superintendent, right? I'm gonna go to a school board meeting. Instead of trying to mitigate the issues with the people that are working with our students day to day, those I think are, I believe are ways that we can separate the governance versus operational roles. Is understanding that while we represent this constituents, that we are in a role that is not going to be, I'm not going to be the person who's going to go into that reading classroom and sit with the child and work with them, right? So constituents who approach concerns about specific schools and programs, because in my role as the board president, that has happened, helping parents identify that there is a chain of command, helping parents understand, because I think also as community members, we're not always, we don't always understand the ways in which we can advocate for our children. And I think not always having a clear understanding of what that advocacy avenue looks like, we feel like, okay, I'm just gonna go straight to the top. And so when we are approached with concerns, I think helping our students, helping their parents and even our community members understand that the chain of command allows for more transparency, right? And it allows for greater accountability because we're starting with the person who is actually working with my child. And if issues aren't resolved there, then helping those constituents understand it. Then if you feel like your need isn't addressed at this level, then this is who you go to next. And then moving on and on. Sometimes constituents aren't always gracious in giving time to not those in governance roles, but in operational roles. Understanding that sometimes because the concern might be out of frustration, or as I've seen happen before, constituents bringing an issue to in front of boards that feeling like their needs or concerns were not addressed or addressed in a way that they felt was going to be helpful or beneficial to them and their situation, that they often tend to, if you go off the deep end, if you will, and then saying, I'm just going to bypass everybody and come to this meeting and make this grand public announcement that this teacher said this to my child, because I've seen it happen, right? So I think having an understanding of the role in governance that the board plays and helping our constituents understand that role. I really wish that there was an opportunity for our parents to have a course in advocacy, especially in educational advocacy. I think that not enough of our community members are aware of the ways in which they can advocate for their student, and that there are the proper channels to follow to do that. And so I think that, you know, of course, confidentiality is always a matter. In full transparency, that's really hard in small communities, probably even the small town of Grants, right? Everyone knows everybody, and you know, an upset parent might be, you know, at Walmart venting, right? And so it's really hard to help ensure that the confidentiality happens, but in a role of governance, obviously, or in you know, following FERPA, I work in an institution that requires that. So those non-identifiers of our students is really key and essential. But I believe that if we can inform and help instruct our constituents to understand what those processes look like, then it can make the accountability process more transparent. And so thereby helping to make the governance and operational roles very distinct. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jaramillo, it's your turn, sir. Before I let you do that, are you all getting cold? Or do you feel okay? I just was gonna, I can finally feel the temperature getting normal and was gonna close the door if you all were getting cold right there by that. I know that Mrs. Well, we can close, do you want me, I'll slide the window closed as well. We had a cross draft going because it was
Get over my.
80 degrees in here earlier. Ms. Garcia, I apologize
It's not a problem.
for the
It's not-
interruption
It's
there.
okay.
It just,
Like me.
I could see Jackie starting to
Yeah, I was like, do I
get
put my jacket on?
closer and closer, so I figured if I was comfortable, everyone else was cold.
All right, we're good, no problem.
I come prepared for the meetings, because it's usually cold.
Apologies. Mr. Jaramillo, your turn,
Yes,
sir.
Resta
Yes.
Garcia, thank you for participating and being interested in this position. What does equity mean to you in the district like Grand Cibola County Schools, and how should the board reflect the understanding in its decision making?
Okay, can you read that one more time, please?
What does equity mean to you in district like Grand Cibola County Schools, and should the board reflect the understanding in its decision making?
Well. Equity to me means that every student, no matter where they live, no matter where they go to school, has the same access to resources and opportunities. In very full transparency, in my time as on the Board of Education at Acoma, there were often concerns of parents in the eastern part of the district who felt that there were inequities in access to infrastructure, resources, programming, and opportunities for students. And I think that a board, this board in particular, needs to reflect their understanding and decision-making by ensuring that transparency happens, to ensure that constituents understand that when decisions are made regarding, let's take infrastructure, for example, new buildings, new fields, athletic fields, that constituents understand that transparency allows for them to know that it is equitable. As a community member, I feel that, and I'm just going to be very transparent. I attended recently a meeting, a community gathering at Laguna Acoma High School late last semester. And the concerns that I heard from students, not staff, faculty, or administrators, but from students, were really alarming. And the inequities they feel. So I imagine that if students feel these inequities, then I'm sure that is happening in their homes and their communities. And as a community member, that doesn't sit well with me. I think because our students are there 5 days a week, spend the most time there, that if their concerns are they've gone a whole semester with a substitute teacher, that shouldn't be okay. They have textbooks that are outdated, that shouldn't be okay. And so, again, I think it falls back to transparency. As a board, are the constituents being given the information that ensures that equity is happening, right? What is the board doing? Is the board attending the Indian Parent Advisory Council meetings at Laguna Acoma or at Cibola or Cabero? So that constituents understand that while I or whoever is selected might be the representative for that district, it's the entire board that works together to ensure that everything is equitable, right? And so I think visibility is really important. That's one way that the board can reflect understanding, is to be present, to make time, one time out of the academic year, to attend a meeting that's still within the district, but maybe not the district you represent, right? So again, ensuring understanding. I lecture at the University of New Mexico School of Medicine on cultural humility, and I do an overview of the Pueblos, Tribes, and Nation of New Mexico. And in doing so, I have come across many people who have lived in New Mexico their entire life and have no idea what the structure of government, what the structure of community looks like in Native American communities. And it's my hope that that is not reflective of this board, because our students come to us at Milan and Mesa View and Grants High School from these communities. And so I think another way that the board can reflect understanding in decision-making is knowing where our students are coming from, understanding what their day-to-day lived experiences are. And I think that then is countered by the representative of those communities, Acoma, Laguna, Rama, that representative on the board also has an understanding of Cobero, San Fidel, Cebolleta, and how those communities operate, thereby giving a better understanding of how those communities offer a support system for their students. And it's that support system for their students that, as a representative on the board, that we need to have an understanding of. It makes it easier for decision-making to happen when we know who our students are and have a reflection of the communities that they come to us from. And so I think that that in and of itself, being visible and being present, is one way to show equity in the district. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Salazar.
In your view, what makes an effective board superintendent relationship? And how should the board support the superintendent while maintaining a close relationship?
That's a great question. I believe that there needs to be a trust responsibility relationship that happens between a board and their superintendent. Very obviously, the superintendent has a big job. And I think that ensuring that the superintendent has good working relationships with school administrators is key, because those are the people who are going to inform the superintendent about the happenings at their schools. And so I think ensuring that the superintendent has the support of the board to make those working relationships happen is really key. I think that the superintendent needs to be able to know that the board, because there would be a built trust responsibility relationship happening, that the superintendent can confidently go to a meeting like this or on behalf of the district and represent us and make decisions, knowing that because there is transparent accountability happening, that the superintendent is able to represent us wherever they are. And that shared decision-making in support of what the superintendent's own goals and mission is for the district. I think that a board that supports that makes the working relationship much smoother. But I think it's also important that the superintendent understands that they are working with a board that is willing to hear concerns and challenges, and a board that is going to also offer recommendations and maybe offer ways to mitigate a lot of those challenges. I think the working relationship between a superintendent and a board really allows for a continuity of programming, a continuity of equitable programming, because I think it's also important for the superintendent to have the support of the board to also be present and visible in all parts of the school district, and not just because he happens to be housed here in Grant's office, housed here, that our superintendent shouldn't be making a visit to all of our schools at least once a year. And ensuring that then those school administrators know that because the superintendent has the board support, that they're able to do that. And those, again, those working relationships then just make for smoother transitions from one school year to the next and allow for the opportunity for advocacy from these community members to the superintendent as well. And that the superintendent has a clear understanding of the communities that they represent. And thereby then the board is able to better support our superintendent in that way. Thank you.
And I'll finish us off.
Okay.
If appointed to the board, what would be your top priorities? And how would you approach working with fellow board members and district leadership to accomplish them? I'll read it one more time.
Okay, please.
If appointed to the board, what would be your top priorities? And how would you approach working with fellow board members and district leadership to accomplish them?
If appointed to the board, my top priorities would be addressing the below average deficiencies in core subject areas. Another priority of mine would be to ensure transparent accountability working relationships, not just amongst board members, but as you spoke to, with school administrators and school leadership. I really think that ensuring, because I work in higher ed now and I see the end result, right, of these students that come to the university ill-prepared, really is one of the reasons why I think the focus needs to happen in those core subjects. I think that also ensuring, another priority is ensuring the equitability of programming and services and opportunities for all. In terms of advocating on behalf of our community students at all levels. And so I think that those kind of working relationships really need to happen. And so being able to work cohesively with board members and having an understanding of the constituents we represent and those communities, helping each other understand that about our students is also beneficial. It helps to have better working relationships if we understand the students that we represent. I also think that having an approachable demeanor with school leadership is important, so that, again, there is the ease of accountability, the ease in being able to approach board members, superintendent with issues and ideas. I think very often that it is our boots on the ground who have some amazing ideas, but may not feel supported in sharing those ideas. And so I think being able to work with board members who are willing to have a better understanding of knowing that our teachers and our school leadership, because they are working more directly and closely with all of our students, that having a good working relationship with them is really important, giving them that sense of support. But I feel that my approach to working with the board would be one that is being approachable, open communication, and a commitment to the mission and the vision of the district. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time and being here and your willingness to throw yourself
Yeah.
into the district in the possibility of a leadership role. Thank you very much.
Yes.
And Mrs. Turley, would you mind taking Miss Garcia to the comfortable waiting room with refreshments and point out the
Just in case.
keys and maybe the
Yeah,
ladies
right.
down the hall?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes.
This is still the hot seat.
Yeah, it should be warm.
Really, and if you
It
wanted
should be
to
warm.
switch, so it's a fresh chair, you could. Before we get started, is there anything that I may get you to make you more comfortable?
No.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you for
As
asking.
soon as everybody gets back from their run down the hall, we'll get started.
Sounds good.
All right. Our next candidate, which is our second candidate, previously selected randomly, is Miss Tanya Lewis. Board members will alternate asking questions. You may take a moment to think before responding, and a brief follow-up question may be asked only if clarification is needed. Board members may take notes. Again, I will encourage that during the interviews. However, no discussions or decisions will occur during an individual's interview. We appreciate thoughtful and concise responses as we are mindful of time. I will start out, Ms. Lewis, by introducing myself. I am Board President Francie Lee. This is Vice President Walter Jaramillo, our Secretary Courtney Clausen, and our Board Member Monica Salazar. At this time, I would love for you to introduce yourself to us and the audience, please.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. Kuatsi kaitawa hopa. Ashinomeha pietza erse tsinoha nostota. Good evening, board members. I am Tanya Lewis and I am from the Pueblo of Yakima. I'm excited and honored to be here today as an applicant for the vacant board member position. I am accompanied by my family. My son was one of the first graduating, or I don't know, first graduates of the early college high school. And my daughter is presently a junior at the early college high school as well. So we're excited to be here. I'm excited. I am a social worker by training and have had a long-standing commitment to this community. And so I'm just hoping to potentially fill a position as a board member. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. I will begin. I'm first up reading the questions. Feel free to take any notes. If you have any questions or want clarification, we will happily always repeat the questions for you. And again, if you need to take a moment, please just let me know and we're happy to wait and we're at your convenience with your answers. All right. Question number one, and there are 6 questions, and each candidate, I'll reiterate for everybody, each candidate is getting the exact same questions. Why are you excuse me, I'll do that again and better. Why are you interested in serving as a Grant Cibola County School Board member? What qualifications or experiences would you bring to the board? And what do you see as the most important responsibility in representing District 5 constituents?
Thank you for the question. So my interest in well, first of all, that's a loaded question, so I might need to stop when I'm done and ask the second and third part of the question.
Of course.
So my interest in serving as a board member really stands in my commitment to the students of Cibola County. I have historical ties to this community and have a passion for supporting the next generation of leaders within our county. And qualities that I bring to that I would bring to this position can include the qualities that I have primarily as, well, first and foremost, as a mother of students from the county schools or who were raised in county schools, as well as social work qualities and skills that I will bring, as well as my qualities and skill set that I bring as a school administrator. And so that would include policy development, advocacy, understanding, being from the community and understanding the challenges that lie within our county, but also the strengths that that we have within our county, our schools, and our communities. Let me see. I will end there.
Okay. I will remind you, the last part is, what do you see as the most important responsibility in representing District 5 constituents?
So the, one of the many top, actually repeat that,
Of
please.
course, happy to. What do you see as the most important responsibility in representing District 5 constituents?
One of the important responsibilities in representing District 5 would be to ensure that the constituents of District 5, their voices are being heard. And not just being heard, but there's some systemic change that comes behind their voices being heard. I'm good. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. Mr. Clausen, sir.
What do you believe is the most pressing challenge currently facing Grant Cibola County Schools, and what role should the board play in addressing it?
So the one of the challenges I would say would primarily be coming from my experience as being a parent of a student in the county, and I would say as well as my involvement as a parent either on IPAC or being a part of regular school board meetings and hearing the challenges. I would say would be the collaboration and coordination from the county alongside the tribes, whether that be the Pueblo of Acna, the Pueblo of Laguna, or Rama and Baca County communities. So to see, so again, the challenge would be the collaboration.
And you want me to finish the second part of the question?
Uh,
The what role?
Yeah, and so with that, what role should the board play in addressing it? Most pressing.
So I believe that the board has a primary role in ensuring that streamlined communication and collaboration occurred, as well as adhering and respecting the trust responsibilities that exist between the county and the respective tribes. And so I believe that that would be the primary role for the board.
Thank you.
Good, thank you.
All right, it's my turn again. How, this is a long one. I don't know if you want to jot it down. How do you ensure you stay in a governance role rather than an operational one? Please include how you would approach dealing with community concerns and issues raised about specific schools and student experiences while maintaining confidentiality. I'm going to read it again. It was a big one, I know. How do you ensure you stay in a governance role rather than an operational one? And please include how you would approach dealing with community concerns and issues raised about specific schools and student experiences while maintaining confidentiality.
Thank you for that question. So I believe that governance sets the why and the what and the why of operations versus the what and the why versus operations, which deals with the day-to-day and how and the how. And so I believe that governance, as a board member, it's important for the separation of the both to allow for direction, to allow for oversight, fiscal management, and all of those things that are important responsibilities as a board member. And how I would approach dealing with concerns from the community and constituents while ensuring confidentiality would be the utmost importance for me. Being a social worker and adhering to social work ethics and ensuring confidentiality when working with students and families, also ensuring that adhering to FERPA laws that exist to protect students is also very important. So ensuring that open and transparent communication with families and communities, I should say timely communication and strategic approach when handling concerns from community and constituents is very important to me, and I think helps to ensure that as a board member and building rapport as well as building trust, not just with students and families, but with other organizations that are involved as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Jaramillo, sir, when you're done taking notes, it's your turn.
Thank you for throwing your hand in the race, 'cause that's what it'll turn into eventually. But anyway, what does equity mean to you in a district like Grand Cibola County Schools, and how should the board reflect that understanding in its decision making?
So equity for me acknowledges fairness and justice while addressing systemic imbalances. It helps to ensure that everyone involved has the same opportunities to succeed. And it acknowledges that everyone is different. However, it seeks to ensure that everyone is on a level playing field, if you will.
And how should the board reflect that understanding in its decision-making?
I believe that, well, first and foremost, in my experience, I believe that people often use interchangeably or are not aware of the difference between equality and equity. And so understanding the difference between both terminologies and what that looks like in the educational system is very important. So ensuring and knowing the definition and how that aligns with each board member and how that also aligns with the mission and the vision and the goals of the county is important. And that building and redefining what equity looks like for Cibola County schools is important to ensure that it not just reflects the values of this organization, but also encompasses the values of the communities that we serve, as well as the families and the students. And so being able to recognize that will help for the board to streamline all the work that we do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Salazar.
In your view, what makes an effective board superintendent relationship? And how should the board support the superintendent while maintaining appropriate oversight?
Thank you for that question. So I believe that any professional relationship should be grounded in mutual respect and understanding of diverse perspectives that are committed to developing rapport as well as open communication. I believe that a board should support a school board in particular should ensure that our goals and values align with that of the superintendent to ensure the overall success of our students and the staff that we also represent as well. And if I may add I also believe that that relationship within the board and the superintendent should be one that cultivates solution-focused opportunities to ensure that when challenges and different perspectives are at the table, that we have established a relationship where we can agree to disagree, but that it's also built on fostering growth for the board and the organization.
I'm going to restate the last part. How should the board support the superintendent while maintaining appropriate oversight?
So again, I believe aligning ourselves with top priorities to ensure that we have a trust relationship with the superintendent, to know that we are aware of I don't know, changing goals, objectives, challenges that each of the schools face. And so ensuring that the information that we have is supporting how the county moves forward in a good way. And also being able to support the superintendent through any challenges that might exist as well.
Thank you.
Mhm.
It's my turn again. If appointed to the board, what would be your top priorities? And how would you approach working with fellow board members and district leadership to accomplish them? I'll read one more time. If appointed to the board, what would be your top priorities? And how would you approach working with fellow board members and district leadership to accomplish them?
So one more time, please.
Of course, happy to. If appointed to the board, what would be your top priorities? And how would you approach working with fellow board members and district leadership to accomplish them?
So my top three, so I have three priorities. The top three priorities that I feel, top three initial priorities for me would be, and my experience from attending board meetings as well as IPAC meetings, or being a part of any of the development of the Indian policies and procedures along with Ms. Jones here. From my experience, the top three initial priorities would really be strengthening the collaboration and consultation process with the tribes. That would be number one. Number two would be streamlining shared priorities with tribes, as well as larger communities, and even looking specifically at each of the schools and looking at their priorities and ensuring that we're streamlining those priorities. The third would be that I see in my experience from my involvement with IPAC is strengthening family engagement. I think that is one that is very much needed, especially for our tribal communities, is ensuring that we have tribal engagement, or family engagement. And I believe that being able to carry out these priorities and other priorities that are identified, the ways to carry out those priorities would be ensuring that I am extending myself as a bridge and offering whatever expertise that I can bring to the table, as well as being transparent. So I don't, I would hope that I would have the opportunity to build rapport with each and every one of you, should I be selected, to ensure that we have a well-established professional relationship, and ensuring that we are working collaboratively to address the needs of the communities that we serve. I'm also very data driven. And so being able to review data and looking at program evaluation from a micro and macro level is of the utmost importance. So I think bringing those qualities to the board will be helpful in identifying gaps and looking at strengths and challenges that exist within our schools.
And just to touch on the last portion, how would you be working with district leadership and the board to accomplish them?
So I can anticipate that I would be, I've had the experience as a volunteer already assisting the district in developing policies and procedures. And I'd like to think that as a volunteer, that I made myself readily available and committed from the start to the finish, all the way to the presentation to the board members regarding those policies and procedures. And so I'm very familiar with the county process and what that looks like and the collaboration that needs to exist for development as such. And so I will continue, whether I'm a board member or not, to be a vested parent of the board of the county schools and ensuring that I am giving my expertise in whatever areas to support the initiatives and foremost to support the students and their successes.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time and your answers, and again, your willingness to be considered to serve on this Board of Education. Thank you very much. This is turning.
Thank you.
We don't believe we have our third candidate here yet. What? Is she out there? Oh, very good. Perfect. I didn't know. I did not know. I was so invested.
Couch area.
Beautiful. Okay.
So,
with this repetitive portion. To the public, we are unmuted again. I will let you know our third candidate made it safely on her long drive here. I am gonna quickly read through some of my script that I have already covered. And so bear with us for this, but to have complete equity and fairness for all of our candidates. Our final candidate here, Miss Donalyn Lorenzo, deserves the same opportunity to hear what all of the other candidates have heard. So bear with me while I read through this. And if you have any questions at all, please feel free to stop me and I'll be happy to clarify anything for you. I will state again, we are in open session and we have been progressing through one of our main agenda items for this special meeting, the interview and interview selection and possible appointment of board member to fill the vacant District 5 seat on the Grant Cibola County School Board of Education. This meeting has been properly noticed and all discussion, deliberation, and any final action related to this appointment will occur in this open session in compliance with the New Mexico Open Meetings Act. The purpose of tonight's deliberate in public and determine whether we as a board are prepared to make an appointment this evening. I did state earlier that the board and district have had ample time to review each candidate's application and all supporting documents. And each candidate, including yourself that is here tonight, has been verified as an eligible candidate for this vacant position. You are our third candidate. I'm going to give you a little bit of an overview of the interview process. And again, just to be perfectly clear on all of this, the board has been conducting interviews with the candidates. Each interview is approximately 25 to 30 minutes. Each candidate has been asked and will be asked the same set of questions, and board members will rotate reading those questions to ensure fairness and consistency. These interviews are taking place in open session. And to preserve the integrity of the process, candidates who are not currently being interviewed will be asked to wait, as you know, outside the room. And when it's your turn, we will send somebody to get you. Chanda's been getting her steps in, and we hope that you were comfortable while you were waiting. Again, I would like to offer you the same statement I offered our two earlier candidates, and that is that I would like to sincerely thank you for your willingness to serve. Your participation tonight reflects a strong commitment to our students and community, and we truly appreciate your time and preparation. And regardless of the final outcome, you have shown your dedication to your community and the students in the Grant Cibola County School District, that you care about them and are willing to help make a difference. So thank you very much for being here. I think I might have missed a page. I'm trying to make sure that I'm doing all of this in the right order. Pardon me. I shuffled my papers earlier and I think I moved one. No, I think I'm okay. All right. Pardon me for that. I apologize. All right. As previously stated, the board members will alternate asking questions. You may take a moment to think before responding, and a brief follow-up question may be asked only if clarification is needed. Board members may take notes and have been encouraged multiple times by me to do so during the interviews. However, no discussion or decisions will occur during an actual interview. We appreciate thoughtful and concise responses as we are mindful of time. All of that being said, I will get to my page and say thank you for being here. We appreciate that very much. I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Francie Lee. I'm the school board president. This is Walter Jaramillo. He's our vice president. We have Courtney Clausen, our secretary, and Monica Salazar, our board member. At this time, we would like to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to us.
Kai tau haupa, vai kai inte tu, shaya shak kushin and metu yomaita eshe washat hanushta kohe washta. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to be here this evening. I actually prepared a statement, which I'm just going to read. I appreciate the time and care you're taking in this appointment process. My name is Donna Lynn Lorenzo, and I'm a graduate of Grants High School, a member of the Pueblo of Acoma, and a social worker and systems leader with more than 20 years of experience working at the intersection of children, families, and public institutions. My interest in serving on the board comes both from professional and personal roots. As someone who came through the district, I understand the role our schools play in shaping opportunity and belonging. Professionally, my work has focused on policy, accountability, and building trusting relationships across communities, including our nation's pueblos and tribes, so that systems work better for those they serve. If appointed, I would bring a steady, collaborative approach to governance, one that centers student outcomes, supports educators, values cultural responsiveness, and honors the board's role in setting the direction while holding the district accountable. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be considered and look forward to your questions.
Thank you so much. I get to start us off. Your first question, and Ms. Lorenzo, I will let you know I'm happy to repeat any portion of the question at any time. And I am happy to read it a couple of times at the beginning to allow you a moment to consider what your response will be. Your first question, and again, I know our audience is getting tired of me saying it over and over again, but there are 6 questions that we will be asking, and we will rotate through asking these questions of you. Again, I will start us off. Why are you interested in serving as a Grant Cibola County School Board member? What qualifications or experiences would you bring to the board? And what do you see as the most important responsibility in representing your District 5 constituents? I'll read that one more time for you. Why are you interested in serving as a Grant Cibola County School Board member? What qualifications or experiences would you bring to the board? And what do you see as the most important responsibility in representing District 5 constituents?
That's a great question. Thank you so much for that. I'm interested in serving on the board because I believe in our children and our communities and ensuring that they have access to supports through education to help them be successful, whether that's college opportunities or another career path, right? Trade schools. I really see this as an opportunity to be able to help shape the vision and the goals of the board to ensure that all constituents in District 5 have their voice heard in policy and decision making, in funding opportunities, And I think that my experience in systems work and transformative leadership is one of the biggest things that I can contribute to serving on the board. I really like to focus on those with lived experience as policy decisions are made. So hearing from constituents is really important, and really being able to, I think oftentimes systems get in the mindset and like, oh, we're gonna create this policy without really realizing the impact it has on individuals whose lives are actually impacted by those policies. And so I believed in the voice of our lived experts and helping to shape that. I think the other experience that I bring to the second point of your question, the qualification and experience. I'm a licensed social worker and have been doing work with communities for over 20 years. I was formerly the director for the Children, Youth, and Families Department Office of Tribal Affairs, which when I started in that position in 2019, I was a staff of one. And prior to my departure, have built it to a staff of 13, including myself. So really knowing organizations and government structure, I think is super important quality to being able to serve in a position like this.
I'll just follow up with, what do you see as the most important responsibility in representing District 5 constituents?
I think the most important responsibility of a board is transparency and accountability. I think that we have to be transparent in regards to decisions that are being made, how those decisions are being made, how policies are being made, what impact that would have. And also accountability, right? Being not just being accountable to those we serve, but holding others accountable to following through on policies and things of that sort. And also ensuring that individuals have the proper support so that we can hold them accountable and they feel supported. Sometimes people think accountability is a bad thing, right? But with proper support and framing and resources, it's necessary.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Mr. Clausen, sir, it's your turn.
What do you believe is the most pressing challenge currently facing Grant Cibola County schools? And what role should the board play in addressing it?
I think one of the most pressing challenges currently faced is if I remember correctly, and just doing a little bit of research, I'm a little bit of a data nerd, and so I think that literacy rates seem to be lower than what is the state average, as well as the four-year graduation rate. And so although that's improved, I think it's still below the state average. And I think that as a board, there is a lot that can be done in regards to doing that, maybe focusing in on early literacy interventions from elementary to middle school, having targeted initiatives that address the concerns and the issues that students are having with math, and making sure that the education gaps are that we're relying on data to really know what that is so we can identify solutions. And so our decisions are data informed, but also for student success, really being able to tie that data and what we're aware of to to their lived experience, right? Really hearing from the students, really hearing from families, what that may be and how we shape policy, and expectations around improving those outcomes. So I really like to focus on where systems are at, really looking at the data that exists, where we would like to go in terms of improving those outcomes, but making sure again that we have that lived experience voice on how we get from one point to from point A to point B in that regards.
I'm gonna ask just for clarification on the last portion there. What role should the board play in addressing it?
Again, I think the role that the board would play is really around transparency and helping to identify, being transparent with our data for one. The board can play a role in being transparent with that. And also play a role in identifying what policies may need to change or may need to be addressed in order to ensure that those outcomes improve. I think I see the board more as a governance role rather than like a day-to-day operations role. And so I don't want to if my understanding is is not correct, please do correct me, but that's kind of, I see those as very different. Governance and then day-to-day operations, I would imagine like the superintendent and his staff are involved in that. And so the role of the board really around policy changes, procedure development, things like that.
Excellent. Thank you for that clarification. It's my turn again. What you just stated leads right to this. How do you ensure you stay in a governance role rather than an operational one? Please include how you would approach dealing with community concerns and issues raised about specific schools and student experiences while maintaining confidentiality. I am going to read it again because it was a long one. How do you ensure you stay in a governance role rather than an operational one? Please include how you would approach dealing with community concerns and issues raised about specific schools and student experiences while maintaining confidentiality.
That's a great question. Thank you again. So like I previously stated, I see the board's role really as that governance, right? Setting policy goals, accountability measures, really defining the vision, the adoption and review of policies, approving budgets, evaluating outcomes. And so really being open, transparent, responsive, is what I see as the board's role. In regards to hearing constituent concerns, I think that one of the things that I always grew up hearing is people don't know how much you people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And people don't know how much we care if we're not listening to them and spending that time with them to really hear what their issues are, what their concerns are, what some of the challenges that they may be experiencing, but also to really hear what's going well and building on that, and really strengthening efforts on things that are going well. So in regards to confidentiality, making sure that constituents, individuals, right, we're in a small community. And so I always think everybody knows everybody, especially when, right, you're out doing your shopping, but really making sure that individuals understand what the board can and cannot do, making sure that individuals are, the board, myself included, right, are disciplined in rerouting concerns, so that they can be properly addressed, but also looking at the themes that may be coming up. And so if we're constantly hearing, right, of an issue, making sure the superintendent is aware of that so he can help get it addressed with his staff, but also from a board's perspective, really looking at the theme in that and identifying what solutions the board can help support with. So if it's policy changes around a certain issue, that would be the role. And then confidentiality, I think it's super important. Being a social worker, right, we have confidentiality laws and requirements. I imagine there's the same in regards to educational, making sure, right, those we call them personal identifying information, is not right like out to in the public, but really not looking, not identifying or singling out a particular student or community member or situation, really looking at it as a systems issue. Did I get all of that? That was a long question.
It was. And yes, ma'am, you did address everything that I asked in that question. Thank you very much. Mr. Jaramillo, you're up, sir.
Yes. What does equity mean to you in a district like Grand Cibola County Schools? And how should the board reflect that understanding in its decision making?
Can you repeat this
Yeah.
second half?
The second, and how should the board reflect the understanding in its decision making?
To me, equity means making sure that every student has real access to the supports that they need and to opportunities and ensuring that right where somebody lives or their if they have a disability, their race, their gender, that those are not reasons that they don't have access to proper support and opportunity. And I think that the role the board plays in ensuring that in decision making is really making sure that we're asking who's being left out, right, inadvertently? What are some unintentional consequences of this? Right now, as you all are aware, is legislative session, so I do bill analysis and policy review. And so one of the things that I'm always looking at when I'm reviewing a bill to make recommendations on it is really what impact is it going to have? What problem is it trying to solve? Who is being left out of this? Whose voice needs to be involved in the development of this? So I really see similarities with that and what the board's role would be on how we help shape vision and goals for the district.
Thank you very much for that. Mrs. Salazar.
In your view, what makes an effective board superintendent relationship? And how should the board support the superintendent while maintaining appropriate oversight?
Can you repeat that one more time?
In your view, what makes an effective board superintendent relationship? And how should the board support the superintendent while maintaining appropriate oversight?
I think effective relationships, any relationship, and so I would imagine this to be true between the board and superintendent as well, is what I like to refer to as the 3 Cs. So ongoing communication, positive collaboration, and meaningful consultation. So, right, that takes time to develop it. Having those open communication channels really helps ensure that everybody's thoughts, perspectives, needs are being heard and addressed. And collaborating, effective collaboration, not just like checking the box collaboration. So what I mean by that is that experiences aren't tokenized when we're having conversation or engaging with constituents, engaging with the superintendent, that it's real, it's with the purpose of collaboration. And then in regards to the consultation piece, ensuring that, excuse me, ensuring that we have identified what what the needs are, what the issues need that are needing to be addressed, and helping to building on everyone's experiences and being able to identify an appropriate plan of action. I don't think that's a one-time thing. I think that is something that is continuous, ongoing, and really being able to support that relationship. I think effective oversight, again, is being available, having been a supervisor or director for most of my career, really being able to understand what an individual's needs are, what their professional goals are, what their responsibilities are, so I can be able to help support that. I don't know the dynamics in regards to that, right? Or exactly, I guess I would have to become more aware of it, but just to give an example, with my staff as when I was the director for the Office of Tribal Affairs, had a staff of 12. And so making time to meet individually and really what's going well, right? What's going well? What are some barriers or challenges that you're experiencing? What supports do you need from me? And also being able to hold individuals accountable, right? And so checking in regularly on different things that were assigned. Where are you at on this? What are the challenges and barriers? And either you not being further along, or what supports can I provide to you? So I think that relationship should be nurturing and positive, and again, collaborative.
Thank you very much. I'll close us out. If appointed to the board, what would be your top priorities and how would you approach working with fellow board members and district leadership to accomplish them? I'll repeat, if appointed to the board, what would be your top priorities and how would you approach working with fellow board members and district leadership to accomplish them?
I think, again, without having the opportunity to dive too much into the weeds of the data, and really being able to tie that to outcomes, I think that would be one of my priorities. Like I mentioned, I'm kind of a data geek and a policy nerd, and so I really like to see how policies impact outcome. And so that would probably be one of my priorities. I think another priority would be to really address issues around attendance, student attendance, and how that impacts graduation rates. I think the other thing would be around literacy, improving the literacy and math outcomes. And so I would see that working with the board, working with the superintendent and other leadership staff in that to really be able to identify some of the barriers that currently exist that keep outcomes where they're at. And for those outcomes that we're seeing some improvement on, for example, the four-year graduation rate, where did that improvement come from? And being able to have those discussions with the board, with superintendent, with leadership, but also more importantly, building a relationship with constituents. And so one of my other priorities would be to get into the communities and hear from community leadership, hear from students, hear from parents and families, because I think that education is everybody's responsibility. And so what role do we all play in helping to improve those outcomes?
Very good. Thank you very much.
Is it okay if I ask some questions?
We have not allowed the others to do
Okay.
that, or I should rephrase and say they didn't ask to. So again, in order to keep things fair and equitable, not at this time.
Okay.
All right. Mrs. Turley, if you would like to show Miss Lorenzo to the waiting room now, please. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for your time. We appreciate you being. All right. At this point, to our audience and board members, we certainly had three great candidates that came and sat before us. And now at this time, the board will move into the selection portion of the process. Again, our candidates are hopefully sitting comfortably in the waiting area during this portion. I am going to make a couple of statements here, and I want board members to be very clear, and the public and audience. I want to be very clear about this next portion. Board members, in your packets, you will find a candidate ranking form, and I want to be very clear about its purpose. Okay, I want to be very clear about this. This ranking form is a non-binding advisory tool intended only to determine, and don't write on it yet, and you're going to need to use the black pens. Okay, I'm going to start this again. This ranking form is a non-binding advisory tool intended only to determine whether there is consensus among the board members at this time. It does not constitute final action. Any final action if taken, will occur through a public motion and a public vote as required by the Open Meetings Act. The ranking will be conducted anonymously to allow board members to express preferences professionally. This anonymity only applies to the advisory ranking. Any final decision will be made through a public motion and vote to be recorded in the minutes for the public record. I am going to read the ranking instructions. Each board member will select one first choice candidate and one second choice candidate. Please mark your selections on the form, fold it in half horizontally on the dotted line, and submit it to our Deputy Superintendent, Jackie Jones. Please take your time to review any notes that you made in order to be clear as to how you are ranking these candidates. Do not make any additional marks or notes on your ranking forms in order to keep them anonymous. Hence, everybody should be using one of our handy dandy black pens. The Deputy Superintendent, Mrs. Jones, will shuffle the forms and return them to me for tallying. I will announce only the aggregate results, not individual results. I will announce if the board has reached consensus, not reached consensus, or has a tie. If consensus is reached, the board will move to take action after a nomination. If consensus is not reached, discussion will occur to determine next steps. If the board is tied, discussion will occur to determine next steps. Again, the purpose of this advisory ranking is non-binding and is used solely to inform the board if it has concession. It does not constitute action, nor does it constitute a vote. It is only as an advisory ranking to determine consensus. For the public to know, each board member has this page. It has the 3 board candidates in order, and it states specifically to rank only their number 1 choice and the number 2 choice. As soon as you're done ranking number 1 and number 2, please fold it in half and we will hand it to Mrs. Jones. She will shuffle it. So again, we're using our black pen to keep it all the same. And please take your time, as much time as you need to review in order to rank. Thank you, ma'am. Mrs. Turley, would you mind bringing the candidates back in now, ma'am? No, no rush, Walter, if you haven't done it. Has everybody turned theirs in? I haven't, I didn't look because my head was down. You have 4.
I have 75% of the ballots, or the ranking forms.
I'm sorry, Walter, I thought you turned yours in. My apologies.
Now I get them back to you.
Yes, ma'am, after they have been shuffled
have
and
been
shuffled and shuffled.
Shuffling. Every day I'm shuffling.
Been like cars.
Oh my God. Thank you. So you said something more.
Okay, so it was warm in there, so.
Candidates, I will explain to you the process that we just undertook as board members to get to the point to invite you back in the room. First and foremost, I would like to thank all 3 of you ladies for being here. Your time and your thoughtful responses are very appreciated. And the board has just undergone a selection process, and I'll inform you as to how that happened. The board form, and I'm going to read to you what I read to the public a few minutes ago. This ranking form is a non-binding advisory tool intended only to determine whether there is a consensus among board members at this time. It does not constitute final action. Any final action, if taken, will occur through a public motion and a public vote as required by the Open Meetings Act. The ranking was conducted anonymously to allow board members to express preferences professionally. And this anonymity only applies to the advisory ranking. Again, any final decision will be made through a public motion and vote and recorded for the minutes. I'm going to read you the same instructions that I gave the board so that, again, everybody is aware of where we are to get to this point right now. Each board member And these are the instructions I read to the board. Each board member will select one first choice candidate and one second choice candidate. Please mark your selections on the form, fold it in half horizontally on the dotted line, and submit it to the deputy superintendent. Please take your time to review any notes that you made in order to be clear as to how you are ranking the candidates. Do not make any additional marks or notes on your ranking forms in order to keep them anonymous. The deputy superintendent will shuffle the forms and return them to me for tallying. I will announce only the aggregate results. I will not announce individual results. I will announce if the board has reached consensus, not reached consensus, or has a tie. If consensus is reached, the board will move to take action. If consensus is not reached, discussion will occur to determine next steps. If the board is tied, discussion will occur to determine next steps. We have now taken the time to record our rankings. Again, these are not votes. This is nothing final right now. This is just an advisory ranking to provide us with knowledge of whether we have consensus or we do not. Mrs. Jones has given me these ranking forms, and I have tallied them to the public and the candidates. I want to thank you for your patience. And now the ranking is completed, and I will remind everybody one last time, I will be announcing only the aggregate results. And based on these aggregate results, the board has reached consensus this evening. So at this time, I will announce that based on the aggregate results of the board's anonymous ranking, the board has reached consensus on nominating Ms. Donalyn Lorenzo to fill the District 5 board vacancy. Congratulations on your nomination. Before we proceed, I want to thank all of you for being here, for your professionalism, your preparation, and your willingness to serve this district. Each of you brought valuable insight and clear commitment to our students and community, and to represent your district and your constituents. And unfortunately, while the board can only appoint one of you this evening, we sincerely appreciate all of you being here this evening. And Mr. Jaramillo said a while ago that it would probably be a good idea for me to remind you that this seat will be available in almost 2 years, and the election process begins with you all being able to go and file for election in August of 2027. So not too long, really. But thank you so much for your willingness to serve and to take the time and give such thoughtful answers to us tonight. It was really a wonderful panel of candidates that we had. Thank you all very much for being here. All right, everybody, at this time, I will state that we have an action item now, And that would be consideration of approval of appointment of the District 5 applicant, Miss Donalyn Lorenzo. And at this time, I move that the board appoint Donalyn Lorenzo to fill the District 5 board vacancy effective immediately in accordance with applicable law and board policy. Superintendent Widener. Superintendent Widener, do you have a recommendation for me this evening, sir?
Yes, ma'am. I recommend that you appoint Miss Donalyn Lorenzo to the school board, the Board of Education, for the District 5 position.
Thank you very much, sir. Board members, is there a second motion to approve the appointment of the District 5 applicant, Miss Donalyn Lorenzo?
So moved.
Thank you. It has been moved by President Lee and seconded by Vice President Jaramillo to approve the appointment of the District 5 applicant, Ms. Donalyn Lorenzo. We shall now proceed to a roll call vote. Mrs. Turley, please.
Mr. Clausen,
Yes.
Mr. Jaramillo,
Yes.
Ms. Salazar. Yes. Mrs. Lee.
Aye. The motion carries. Congratulations, Ms. Lorenzo. We look forward to working with you in service to our students and community. A formal swearing in per Tuesday, February 3rd at 5:30 p.m. at our next regular board meeting. And to all of our candidates who participated tonight, thank you very much. We sincerely appreciate you all being here and making the effort for students in our Grant Cibola County schools. There being no further business before the board, now entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
And a second, please. Thank you. Superintendent Widener, sir. I should have asked you first.
I think it's great you guys have a motion. I think you should adjourn. Thank you all for allowing me to be here representing the district and candidates. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It has been moved by Mr. Clausen and seconded by Ms. Salazar to adjourn our meeting as presented. Mrs. Turley, roll call, please.
Mr. Clausen,
Yes.
Mr. Jaramillo,
Yes.
Ms. Salazar. Yes. Mrs. Lee.
Aye, the motion carries. The board has adjourned at 7:54 p.m. Thank you very much.